The use of Signal by Pete Hegseth and others to coordinate a military attack was, of course, a huge breach of national security, showed a major lack of judgment, but most likely was the tip of the iceberg because Project 2025 has long announced their plan and encouragement to have government officials use non-government forms of communication in order to hide their tracks. My name is Dina Doll with the MeidasTouch Network. Let's break this down. The use of the Signal chat is an unprecedented breach of national security that's still developing. We see lawsuits are already now being filed against Hegseth and others regarding their gross negligence in relation to using the Signal chat. We see the White House changing excuses for why they use it. We see Tulsi Gabbard in front of Congress changing her testimony about what she knew and didn't know on that chat. All of this boils down to we would never know this if they hadn't inadvertently added the Atlantic Reporter. We're not really surprised that people like Hegseth were, just loose about our national security. We knew he was unqualified. We see in his answer to this, his trying to demonize Atlantic Reporter instead of taking responsibility for what he clearly did. But this isn't just about the fact that he's unqualified. This isn't just about the fact that him and Tulsi Gabbard and Trump administration are dishonest again and again. This is about the fact that Project 2025 has long told their supporters and how the next administration, which is this Trump administration, should hide what they are doing from the American people. So essentially, what happened in this Signal group chat is it made our plans for this military attack more accessible to our foreign adversaries because it was more easily hacked, and less accessible to the American people because by using this form of private communication, it wasn't able to be collected under any Freedom of Information Act in the future. And that is by design. So when the senators are calling for resignations, as they well should, from Pete Hegseth and others who put our national security at risk, this should also be the beginning of an investigation of how much all of the Project 2025 installed federal employees are using non-government communications in order to create, as John Voight said in his secretly taped tape months ago, his plan to create a shadow government. How do you create a shadow government? You use communication tools that aren't being tracked by our laws like the Freedom of Information, because then the American people can never really know what you're doing. Let's get into this a little bit more because Project 2025 how do we know this? Because they've talked about this. ProPublica was able to obtain tapings of their training videos that they were training the future Trump administration employees. And they talk very openly about how they should act or not act in a way to make sure what they're doing cannot be publicly accessible. You're literally talking about telling federal employees who are public servants, who are working for the American people, how to work in a way that the American people can never fully know what you're doing. But that is the Project 2025 goal. That's John Voight's goal, which we know he's the director of office personnel management. It's Trump's goal. And this is just the beginning. This Signal that came to light because the reporter was added is certainly just the tip of the iceberg of what they are all doing. Take a look at the ProPublica obtained Project 2025 training video where they talk about this.
What every political appointee needs to know is that all their communications, all their emails, all their calendars, that is all subject to FOIA, and anyone can request those records from a federal agency.
That's a frightening proposition, but...
What's actually frightening is the lengths they will go to hide what they're doing as government employees from the American people who are literally paying them to do their jobs. The fact is, Signal was known to have vulnerabilities. It was known not to be able to use something as top secret as this within that chat. The National Security Administration had issued a bulletin a month before this leak that said that this signal was vulnerable to hackers and should not be used. So clearly, there is no excuse for Hegseth and Tulsi Gabbard, J.D. Vance to be sitting there and having this casual conversation about something as serious as a military strike on this vulnerable Signal app. Not only that, but one of the people on that app was literally in Russia at the time. So most likely this was hacked by Russia. If not, it certainly could have been. It was communicated to the administration by the NSA that it could be hacked. But the reason why most likely this is not the only time Hegseth and others are using the Signal app is because it is well known that the Signal app can be used to avoid government transparency because it has an auto delete feature. Only one member of the group chat sets it to auto delete within weeks. So you don't have to go back and scrub your communications to determine whether or not you are breaking the law, revealing secrets, saying something that you don't want the American people to know. Now, you just have to ask it to auto delete. And so it is well known that this is an app that can be used to avoid the Freedom of Information Act. And it is true that the Freedom of Information Act does apply to the Department of Defense, but has carve-outs for things like top secret plans. So this particular conversation some of it may have been able to be obtained by a Freedom of Information Act, but certainly not the level of detail that was used.
Life moves fast, and sometimes you just need a way to relax, recharge, or stay focused without overcomplicating things. That's where Vaya comes in. So Vaya, if you haven't tried it yet, you're seriously missing out, whether you need to unwind, refocus, or boost your mood. It's here to enhance your everyday and night. Trusted by over 500,000 happy customers, Vaya is changing the game in natural wellness, blending powerful, high-quality hemp-derived products and ingredients to deliver real effect-driven benefits. Whether you're looking to sleep better, have stronger libido, improve focus, recover, or simply relax, Vaya has a tailored solution just for you. With products ranging from 0 to high cannabinoid levels, Vaya lets you fully customize your experience to fit your needs. Whether you're looking to support your daily wellness routine, enhance your focus and clarity, or unwind with deep relaxation, Vaya has you covered. From their award-winning effect-forward gummies to premium indoor-grown THCA flower and calming drops, every Vaya product is thoughtfully crafted, made with organic, lab-tested hemp, sourced from trusted, independent, American-owned farms. And the best part of Vaya is it legally ships across the USA in discreet, direct-to-your-door, no medical card required packaging, and backed by a worry-free guarantee. So not sure where to start, take Via's product finder quiz to get personalized recommendations tailored to your needs, and it can take you less than 60 seconds to complete. So if you're 21 or older, treat yourself to 15% off and get a free gift with your first order using our exclusive code MISTRIAL, M-I-S-S trial, at viahemp.com. Plus enjoy free shipping on orders over $100. That's viahemp.com and enter code MISSTRIAL, MISTRIAL. Unlock the power of nature with Via's organic and vegan hemp extracts, perfect for relaxation and rejuvenation. Via is the only lifestyle hemp brand, and they use compounds found in hemp along with active plant ingredients. So again, if you're 21 or older, check out the link to Via in our description and use the code MISTRIAL to receive 15% off, free shipping on orders of over $100. And if you're new to Via, get a free gift of your choice after you purchase. When they ask you where you heard about them, please support the show and enter code MISTRIAL. Tell them we sent you and enhance your everyday with Via.
The fact that this was used at all after the NSA said not to use it, and knowing that people realize that the Signal app is a well-known tool to auto-delete your communications, along with Project 2025's stated goal of having the administration use forms of communication in order to avoid the public knowing what they're doing. This Signal app was probably used in a lot more communications. And that is why they didn't maybe realize that they were talking about something top secret on this app because they were probably talking on that app all the time. So for all the Democratic senators in those questionings, let's add those questions. Let's dig deeper. Let's assume that this stupidity wasn't just in this particular situation, but that this is a mode of operating in a way, as their leader, John Voight, has said, to create a shadow government. You create a shadow government by not having oversight, and you allow for no oversight by using non-government communications, especially non-government communications that auto-delete your conversations. In addition to the Project 2025 training videos that ProPublica was able to obtain, there was a secret recording of Russ Voight's aide in an undercover investigation where he also admits that their goal is to hide information from the public. Take a look.
Because obviously you want as little of it to be FOIA-able, if you're familiar with the FOIA process, as possible.
Freedom of Information Act, yeah.
The Freedom of Information Act allows the public to request government communications, but Meadowcroft reveals they plan to avoid these rules.
So we can see this developing scandal, Signalgate, as Senator Adam Schiff is calling it, on many levels. We can see how it shows how unqualified they are, how unwilling they are to protect the American military and American people by telegraphing in a military strike on an app that the NSA has already said is not secure. But we can also see it as they can't even follow through on the Project 2025 playbook. They had all of these training videos and manuals and talked about how you're supposed to use certain forms of communication in order to avoid the Freedom of Information Act. And what do? But they go ahead and add a reporter to that chat, completely blowing up the idea that they are having this shadow government in a way that cannot be disclosed to the American people. And so that's why this watchdog group that is suing Pete Hegseth and others for them using the types of communications to avoid the Freedom of Information Act is so huge, because they wouldn't have had this evidence if they hadn't had added the reporter. So there's so many levels of them being incompetent foot shoulders for the Project 2025, incompetent leaders of our military. We will be sure to follow this developing story and give you updates as they come. My name is Dina Doll for the MeidasTouch Network.
Can't get enough Meidas? Check out the Meidas Plus Substack for ad-free articles, reports, podcasts, daily recaps from Ron Filipkowski, and more. Sign up for free now at MeidasPlus.com.